aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
Got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case. I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Is that correct?
Alrighty. We're getting too many buttons. Too many buttons. I will tell you, let's turn that down just a tiny bit. I will tell you, welcome to the Court of Public Opinion, first of all. Welcome. It's good to have you here. I am the Recovery Addict, and you know who you are. So, welcome. Please take your seat. During lunch, I was playing with my my new toys, and I realized they can be used for other things, but I think the first thing I'm going to do with it is set up a cat cam so that we can have my cat, if it chooses to participate, because cats always have their choice whether or not they want to do anything you want them to do. But I can set this up to be a cat cam, so I think I can transmit from like 650 feet away in any direction and have it fed live back into my studio. So it worked on the test. It was wonderful, which is great. All right, we'll just let's let this die down. We'll have a Pickles cam eventually. Brandy's grubbing off on me. So, oh, my phone's ringing. Somebody's calling me. I got a telemarketer during the break. He told me I had up a bunch of unused travel credits, and I think I sounded too excited because he hung up on me like mid-sentence. He's like, nope, this isn't going the right direction. So,
are we going to address subject matter
let
jurisdiction?
me put these out of the way. The coolest thing about those video transmitters is the delay is like 40 milliseconds. It's tiny. It's like it's that quick. So it's almost as live, and it's 4K. So that is just really cool. All right. Again, says JM. Yes, again. I mess up every morning, every time we start. Let's see. Who do we have to blame for the errors this morning? Oh, look. Not JM. Sorry. It's going to be Adam Nusky. Adam Nusky, first in chat today. Any internet problems are his fault, and you can call him, reach out to him directly on his, not the burner phone, but his direct cell phone number. You can just reach out to him on that if you have that, and he'll be able to help you with everything. And odds are he probably can help you. Matthew Harris, I have a confession. I was busy with kids and trying to get some kids to work and everything else, and lunch went very, very quickly. I have not yet seen. Can I watch it like live? Can I watch it? Let's see. That's not Matthew Harris. Hang on. Matthew Harris Law. Beginner's Guide to Watching True Crime. Oh, it's 10 minutes.
True crime trials have captivated audiences worldwide.
Matthew, I don't want you to strike me with a copyright strike. Do you hereby promise that I can listen to this a little bit? I might turn it down. It's got closed captioning and everything, man. Matthew is the best dressed lawyer on YouTube. I think you guys know. You have my permission for eternity. Sounds good. I'm going to just listen to the first little bit and tease people, and then we'll give them the link where they can watch it themselves.
There's a lawsuit.
So let's put this over on 3, shall we? Can I show it as well? Can we? I'd rather you guys watch this on his channel. Really, this is he goes to a lot of work and does a great job on these. So let's see. Bring this over right here. Did you dirty on the pause job, but that's all right. Okay, with Matthew's consent, we're going to take a quick peek at behind the curtain, so to speak.
True crime trials have captivated audiences worldwide, offering a glimpse into the complex and often mystifying world of the legal system.
Let me just say.
From the O.J. Simpson trial in 1995 to the Derek Chauvin trial in more recent years, millions of people have tuned in to watch as real lives hang in the balance. And
okay, where did you get that courtroom? That is a stunning courtroom. It looks like it's possibly a
real
Texas
victims
court.
await justice. For viewers with minimal courtroom experience, deciphering the nuances of objections,
I like that guy.
the introduction of evidence, and
Ooh, getting risky.
testimony can be both intriguing and
It's in the last chapter.
When
Okay,
you find
I'm going to
yourself
cut to
engrossed
the
in
last chapter
drama
really
of a
quickly.
true crime trial, it helps to know the
Right here. The very last chapter.
of science. As you delve into the world of true crime trials, armed with this newfound knowledge of objections, evidence, and testimony, you'll find yourself better equipped to follow the courtroom battles unfolding before your eyes. Remember, every objection, every piece of evidence, and every bit of testimony is a piece to the intricate legal puzzle. By understanding these elements, you can appreciate the artistry and complexity of the legal process, making your true crime experiences all the more enriching. If you've never watched a true crime trial with a few thousand other enthusiasts, then I recommend watching with Scott, aka Recovery Addict, who has the best community for watching these trials together. So, the next time you tune into a trial, listen to a podcast, or watch a documentary, you'll do so with a discerning eye and a deeper understanding of the fascinating world of courtroom drama.
That was awesome. Let me.
That was asked of
Sorry,
you by the court.
no, not asked of you
pertaining
anything.
those
Hey,
subpoenas.
hey! Stop talking, Darrell. All right. Oh my goodness, how did you get that whole? You threw a rave in my studio. That was impressive. That was super impressive. If you want to see the whole video, which I highly recommend. I have not seen the whole thing. I will watch the whole thing today when we have a break, but or I'll watch it when we're not live. I click just type !Matthew in chat, and you can get a link to his channel. Matthew does amazing. I filmed that rave from your window. That's what the noise was. I see that. That was awesome, and I love the cameo. Thank you so much. Anyway, you can go to Matthew's channel right here. You should subscribe for sure. He drops new content like that every week. Sometimes it's a little short. This one's about 10 minutes long, but a great video. And it's one I think that you could probably show your friends who are like, you watch what? And just give them an idea of what we do. I think this is like an icebreaker for those people who don't know what the world of true crime is all about. I'm jazzed about being on the show. That's just cool. Hey, Mrs. R.A., how you doing? Do you like the new camera angles? No? You good? Did you see? You didn't see anything?
I saw some of it downstairs.
Yeah, that's cool. Love you, by the way.
I love you too.
You're awesome. All right. That is just so cool. I'm just happy all around. Let's see. We have, I think court is going to be coming back here in just a minute. We've got a feed from the courtroom. Nothing's happening right now. We're just staring at the wall. For those that missed out, we had a great morning. I did fix a problem. I accidentally deleted yesterday's live stream, and I undid my delete, so it's back if you missed that. I still have to make a small correction. I need to cut something out instead of trim down. I cut down my entire video yesterday to the one part I wanted to remove, the 2 minutes I wanted to remove. Oops.
Don't miss the forest for the trees.
She missed the rave. She's going to have to watch it. She's going to go upstairs and watch it, I'm sure. That is awesome. And Matthew, thank you.
Scratch
for the
all
shout
that.
out.
Oh, that was terrible.
That is
I
really
apologize.
cool. Taylor says, late, I was watching Rob's live. I missed Rob's live. What is he covering? Or what did he cover? Or were you watching his live from last night where he made the big announcement, which was just awesome?
Have him send someone with more experience.
Seriously, how can you see who is lurking? Says Misty Harris. It's the magic of YouTube. I tell you, YouTube knows everything, right? If you think you're hiding something from the internet, between Google, Amazon, and your ISP, everything. You have no secrets.
When are we going to break for lunch, Judge?
You have no secrets, and they know everything. So no, they don't tell us. We don't know. We just pretend. All right. It was the live from last night. Taylor, that was an awesome one. That was the members only live. If you're a member, do recommend going and watching that from Rob at Law and Lumber. He shares some amazing, exciting news in his life. I guess in their lives. I guess you can say, with him getting engaged, and that's just awesome. Pictures and all. It's just really cool. All right, Matthew Harris, always the gentleman, returns my compliment with an even better compliment. So thank you very much, Matthew. Okay. Let's see. I don't know why, but I've been watching the DB trial again. I can tell you, Dodie, anytime I finish a video on YouTube, it loops me back to DB. I forget what day, but it's DB. It's Daryl Brooks all the time. Was his fiance on the stream? Not on the part I saw. I didn't get to see the entire thing. I still have some more to rewatch, but I saw photos of her. And speaking of which, DB is still playing on my player. That's no bueno. Let's see. This is State's case nears end with new witness testimony. That's what it was. No more. Earl Zinnerman, welcome to the gallery. Thank you very much for your continued support. I love that blue courthouse by your name. Lawn Lumber, Rob is engaged, so happy for him. And he is on Emily D. Baker in chat at the minute. Wonderful. That's a fun place. EDB does a wonderful job as well. And yes, she was in the chat. I saw her in the chat, but I didn't see her on the stream in the wood shop. It was just him with his Nerf guns. That's all I saw. All right, let's get ready. And Rob had dinner with Nick and Greg. I saw that picture. I've been sitting very, very quiet on that picture because he told me not to share it. But so for a few days, I've had that picture and was waiting for him to share that. That was awesome. Okay, new sideline to channel should be you interviewing incarcerated past defendants. Would love to see you interview Brooks, etc. That actually gets difficult for a couple reasons. Some inmates, say for instance, Alex Murdaugh, I don't think he's allowed to do that, and he actually got in trouble for recording some things to be shared out in a podcast. So you have to sort of figure out what's allowed and what isn't. And honestly, I'm not sure if I could put up with an hour of someone telling me that the court did it wrong and he's actually a sovereign citizen. They don't have jurisdiction. Let's see, what was Rob's big announcement?
Someone with more experience.
Anyone know? Glow, he got engaged. It's on a members only stream, but it's interview with Boone. I am open to that after the court's over. I don't want to do anything that would cause problems. I know she would probably do an interview right now, but I don't want to cause any problems with the court. I believe she deserves a fair trial. I don't want to have anything that interferes with that. All right, where's my video of, there's court, there we go. Everything's where it should be. Okay.
Is that correct?
That's correct, JP, that's correct. All right, we have 0 minutes before court should be back, so we'll go ahead and take a look at the wall and see if we can see the judge walk in. Let's see. Purple Haze says, I'm completely hooked on sovereign citizens' arrests on YouTube. Like it's therapy. Purple Haze. It's a niche. You found a very, very unique little niche. There's a lot of content there, surprisingly. Just a ton of stuff out there. Earl says, love the educational dialogue and humor, the calls, the commentary, all of it. Thank you, sir. Earl, thanks for the kind words, and thank you for being here. It wouldn't be the same without you. I appreciate you being a part of this community. Feel free to join in all the fun. Okay, let's do this. Pam, if you're looking for Lawn Lumber from last night, it was a members-only stream, so you would have to be a member on his channel to gain access, meaning your name would have to be green on his channel for that to happen. He just announced it to his members only. But I mean, it's public now. But the video itself is members only. Have we heard from the human delay machine? Great question. We have. Let's take a quick check. Let's see. Do another search for Farag.
Because he's the guy.
Currently not in custody. I think yesterday he had a court appearance scheduled, and he no-showed on that as well. So that's his current MO, is to not participate. Okay. Welcome, Debbie Wilson. We're starting again this morning, this afternoon, hopefully with the right video. It's probably going to come up on Friday Night Frenzy for sure. Tomorrow night it'll probably be a top.
Haven't we got someone with more experience?
Non-members can watch the replay of Rob's announcement. I did
Scratch all
break.
that. Oh, that was terrible. I apologize.
So it was released on a members only and then went live to general. Irish Dog says, I might have to get a membership for the month just to watch that stream. I will tell you, on his membership, on his shop talk, it's very casual. It's very laid back. It's very, very much sort of what we do here, with a lot of back and forth, not a lot of structure in the break times where we just follow the conversation, answer questions. It's really cool to see him just kicking back in his beautiful shop, which I am super jealous of. Oh, Judge is coming in. Everyone has to be quiet, guys. We're going to get back to order. I'm going to turn down the sound effects. Polly, thank you for the kind words. Thank you for being here as well. Love the pooch. Love the pooch in the profile picture. There's the link to Rob's live stream.
She didn't do what she's supposed to do. Yes, I did. You got it finally?
Let's bring up the objection counter as well. We're only at 12, and this is an interesting point because only 2 of those objections have been ruled in favor of defense, which is quite interesting because we'll sort of try to keep track. I know I can't do separate counters for each one because that's too much for my little brain to track. But if you guys want to do that and keep it running total, it's 10 and 2. 10 for prosecution, 10 and 2 in favor of defense on the rulings. Krista says, I think it should be how many of the objections does defense win? Well, that's sort of what we'll get if we can have somebody just volunteer to be the scorekeeper in detail. Oop. Somebody bumped the camera. It's back where it was. All right. Any second now, we'll have the feedback. If you type in chat and you see your chat on the screen, I believe you're not blocked. So the answer, Meaty Banana, would be no. But if everyone types, am I blocked? I can't put all the comments up on the screen. It's working. It's working. All right. Winning an objection isn't always the point. Is it Kelsian or Kelsian? You're right. Sometimes an objection, is not going to go your way, but it helps to just get something out and to be able to say something. And there's another game you're playing. And we've seen some of that. I don't think in this case that gamesmanship has been the content of these objections. They've been, I don't know. I think they've been more mundane. Is this camera tilted? Are we like sitting at an angle? You guys see that? Now we all see it, right? I think we're looking. If anything, you should justify the camera to the flags so the flags stand up straight. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Adam says, "Good news. You're not blocked." There are so many comments. Just realize there are a lot of times when chat is going fast. Just because someone doesn't respond to you doesn't mean that you're blocked. It just means that there may be other conversations they're following, and the comments just get lost in the chat. That's typically why we try to slow chat down a little bit. It's not to punish anybody, but we want it to just go a little slower so that comments will stay on the screen longer and people have a chance to respond to them. The action cam is angled for dramatic effect. We're leaning in because action is about to start. And I'm very slightly off center, says Monty McBunface. Which way do I need to be? Do I need to be over this way? Or I sit straight in front of my laptop, but it's not straight in front of my camera. They're quiet right now. I'm not sure if we're waiting for jury to return or if we have... it could be IT issues still. That they were supposed to work on that over lunch. We also have had, initially on day one, the defense attorney be late to court, which is a bad look. But the judge was like, "Oh, it's no problem. These things happen. These things happen. We just roll with it." All right. I always get lost in the chat. True Crime Junkie. I am very off-center. It's good to know where you stand, though. Marker says, "I don't expect people to respond, and I'm also the last one picked for teams." Well, Marker, they asked me to be scorekeeper. What does that mean?
Yes.
We're getting little blips of sound. It means you're the water boy. That's it. Ruger 9x19. First of all, I like the reference. I had a P95 that I believe had takes a 9x19. Anyway, the tolerance for speaking objections to responses in this courtroom is unusual. Yes, the speaking objections and the back and forth. It's like a full blown argument. It's like a sidebar, and it takes place right there, and it's in front of the jury. We haven't seen this. What was the last trial? It was like this. Zachariah Anderson. That was probably the last time we've had this many arguments back and forth in front of the jury that I can remember. Did Amber say the defense attorney had a stroke a year ago? Yes, he did. He's recovering. I guess he's recovered, but he did have a stroke in the recent future. Music warning, 1 week till I turn older. Congratulations, sore throat. Remind me then as well. Apparently she changes clothes on video before the police arrive. I do know that that her shirt got ripped and she puts on a hoodie. I don't know what is shown and what isn't shown, so we'll be very cautious with that video. I don't think her putting on the hoodie is something we need to see. So if that is happening, I will cut away from that. But there might be, we might get YouTube mad at us today. I don't know. Who's up next? Do we know? Captain Ginner, no, we don't know. Still the state's case. They're going to be bringing witnesses today, tomorrow, and some, at least partially, on Monday. And then they probably anticipate resting. But the interesting thing is the defense has taken a very in-depth cross-examination of every witness so far. And that has been, I think, slowing things down considerably. So unless they work that into their schedule, it's going to be more than a week-long trial. Baby Bear, so happy to be here 7 months later. Love IRA and this wonderful group of people. Thank you. And Baby Bear, thanks for introducing me to some amazing, yummy foods. I appreciate that. The cowboy candy was particularly delicious. Tom Troywater gifted a membership and it went to Tanel Suzanne. Congratulations, Tanel. Thank you, Tomwater Troy. Let's see. R.A. Amber Heard's attorney responded to every objection before the judge. Yes, I watched that one, but we didn't live stream that case. That was before we started. We started with Daryl Brooks. Kathy says, I'm going to watch this and the eye drop hearing sentencing at the same time. Put my Ritalin to work. Kathy and Pam, West Virginia. The eye drop case is crazy. There's just the developments in that are bizarre. You'll have to fill us in a little bit. Did the lawyers get excused? Were they allowed to drop off the case right at the last day? Yes, candied jalapenos. Delicious. It's pickled jalapenos that are just, they were so good. Robin, we haven't missed anything yet. We've just been waiting for court to start. They're now almost 15 minutes late. They were supposed to have the jurors back at 12:45. We were supposed to start at 1, but this court has been late consistently. According to CT, the defense attorney was just released from hospital a couple of days before this trial for another stroke. Man, I hope his health is, I hope he's on the mend. I don't wish that on anybody. Chris Wallace, thank you for gifting a Recovery Addict membership. That one went to Bunty McBunface. Congratulations, Bunty. Good to have you in green now. And this trial is going to last 3 weeks at this rate. I don't know. I think we've got very few. I don't think we're going to have a lot of expert witnesses in this one, which typically slows things down. We don't have to analyze cell phone pings and things like that. The location, the events that happened were pretty much as they happened. We've got recordings from 911. We have possibly a video or two. Maybe some ME, medical examiner testimony about the fact that the victim had no substances in his body, no illegal substances. He was not intoxicated, was not high, and then we'll have obviously the ME testifying about the manner and method of death. My hubby added your pickles to his pickled beets and eggs, and he said it's delicious. They are, Judy. I would not steer you the wrong direction, especially on something so important as pickles. Spicy maple bourbon pickles are the way to go. Let's see. Nancy says, I've asked a couple times. Please check CMO Dr. Joe. Thumbnail says 3 o'clock. Information down below says 2. I will check right now on my screen. Customization for redirect for Dr. Joe. Let's see. Lots of people are live. Let's see. I'm showing it starts 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you're Central, that would be 2 p.m. But it's scheduled for December 7th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So we have another hour and 45 minutes. Welcome to the gallery, Meanie Banana. We got you back in green. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Make cowboy candy every year. Delicious indeed. Sometimes we grow hot jalapenos, too hot. I make a fresh garden salsa. Scott. That's like the only thing I can do with peppers is make a fresh garden salsa. And it's got Roma tomatoes, avocado, cilantro, habanero, usually garden salsa peppers, but I might sometimes put like a bell or two in just for color variety, because they don't add, they're not strong in any way. Let's see what else we put in there. Some garlic, lemon juice. What am I forgetting? Onions. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of diced radish as well. Just lots of stuff. But I'll make it like a gallon and a half at a time. Ariel, this has not ever been something I've tried or wanted to try. I will eat bologna, but I've never had it pickled. Also never had a pickled egg, I don't think. Are we going to have the mandatory gun expert with the model bullet? I don't think we're going to do that, because there's no question about whose firearm shot it. They don't have to prove that the bullet came from that gun. You've got admission from the defendant that it was her gun that fired. So they're not trying to ascertain, match the two up. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, the eye drop case is just bizarre. We might, if we get a break, we might go back and watch that whole trial. And even though it's all happened in the past, it's bizarre enough that we might go back and follow that one. Just Chrissy, I strongly recommend bringing the hubby in. Make it a group thing. That way you're getting closer together than growing apart. I don't want to be the cause of any divorce filings. Okay, I think we're all caught up. I don't know what the delay is here. It could still be tech. Too many bizarre trials to choose from, says Kathy and Pam. They just keep coming. We've got more next year as well. I'm super excited about, obviously we've been following Sarah Boone for a long time. I'm super excited about that one. I think it's going to happen this time. I think January is going to be our start, January 29th. But I'm really excited about going out to Utah for Park City for that Corey Richards trial. That's going to be really cool. How many lawyers does it take to plug in an Ethernet cable? Well, probably one more than they have present. Okay, my husband. Captain says, I want to know what angle the gun was shot at. That's going to be testified to. We heard that in the openings. Defense says you're going to hear that the shot was fired from a forward and from the right to left position, which might be some of the strongest evidence supporting the defense case. Yeah, Alley Cat. Me as well. I'd have a hard time sitting there doing nothing and getting paid very, very little to do it. Judy says, when I'm not watching, my hubby asks, isn't RA on? Isn't there somebody you're supposed to watch on that YouTube-y thing? Very generous breaks here. And they also end at a reasonable time as well. I realize we're starting, let's see. They say they started at 8:30 for a 9 o'clock start. So start at 9. They should be done. It's 9 to 5. So that's nobody's working late. Did go a little bit late yesterday just because of some problems, but. Do we know if she's left-handed or right-handed? I don't know yet. I hope that comes out. I believe we'll find out where the gun was stored, and that might be a good indication. Here we go. Something's shaking in the courtroom. Something's moving and shaking. We wiggled. It was True Crime Junkie. Sorry, she shook the bench. Wiggle your feet, kick the camera. That's what happens. Hope we get to the 911 call more clearly. Peter Steele, we've been told, the judge says, I'm going to allow them to replay that audio once we get the tech fixed. Once we get the good sound, we're going to listen one more time because it's important to hear exactly what's happening, and it's a little hard to hear some of that stuff. Connie's saying, I think she's a lefty. Oh, Judge Carroll would be writing orders about this. He'd be ordering the county to hire more tech guys or to change the audio system. Maybe. Maybe we're friendly. It's 23 minutes late right now. Defendant's there. Judge is there. Working 9 to 5. Who sings that? Is that Wyona? Reba? Dolly? It's got to be one of those three. Dolly. Boom. Judge does not look pleased, but I don't think she's going to let out that she's disappointed right now. Lori Vallow trial is set for April 2024. Okay, so this is good news. This is good news. That's one of the big trials we've got, and we're talking about Arizona, right? Where death penalty is on the table. We'll have to start filing for that one and get involved in that. Blink 182. Yeah. Looks like the jury may be coming in. Everybody's there. We've got a looks like a detective there in the back of the white jacket wearing the badge, probably going to testify, maybe even the next witness. He's moving. Somebody's there to talk to him. Stephen, BK is going to be incredible as well. I believe that will go all the way to trial. I don't think he's going to take a plea. But that's going to be, I'm saying, at least 2 years out right now. That's my call. There's so much evidence. There's so much for them to go over. Jury's here.
You may be seated. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hope you all had a good lunch. We're ready to proceed with the case and statement. Go ahead and call its next witness.
There's our next witness. Looks like a detective.
If you would raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give before the court in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
You can take your hand down and have a seat. And since you're keeping your mask on, if you would just make sure you're enunciating well enough for the court reporter and for the jurors to hear you.
Yes, ma'am.
If you would please state and spell your name.
Detective Darnell Rowling, Darnell Rolling, with the Clayton County Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Clayton County Police Department?
For over 12 years.
And have you gone through the training to become a post-certified law enforcement officer?
Yes, ma'am.
And what does that mean?
That means that I've met all the requirements for the state of Georgia to be certified as a law enforcement official.
And that's what gives you arrest powers?
That is correct, yes.
And what is your job description? What was your job description back in May of 2019?
I was in the Criminal Investigation Division for the Clayton County Police Department, where we investigate all sorts of crimes, such as persons and property.
And the Criminal Investigations Division, would that be what lay people would think of as where the detectives are?
That is correct, yes.
So not the uniform officers that ride out in the patrol cars, but the detectives that come later?
That is correct, yes.
And in the course of your work at the Clayton County Police Department, on Were you asked at some point after May to obtain a known DNA sample from the defendant in this case, Hannah Payne?
Yes, I was.
And did you perform that task on November the 26th of 2019?
I did.
What did that entail?
Pretty much entailed me applying for a search warrant affidavit for a buccal swab, or what is known as DNA collected from the defendant at the time.
And how do you perform the swab? What do you do?
There's a protected Q-tip or swab, if you will, enclosed in a clear plastic seal. That seal is not broken until I've met with the defendant and explained the scenario or the situation to them. I then break that seal and insert into the mouth or to the jaws and inner lining of the mouth to collect DNA.
And once you've inserted the swab into the mouth and done the collection, what happens next?
It is then placed back into the seal and resealed again and sent off to the crime lab.
And
crime lab.
did you follow that procedure in this case?
I did.
And once the swab is placed into the container that it came in originally, is that container then bagged for evidence?
Yes, it is.
I've already shown what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit number 5 to Defense Counsel. May I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 5. If you could look at both sides to see if you recognize State's Exhibit number 5.
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you recognize State's Exhibit number 5?
It has my initials and signature on it, along with the date and my information attached.
And when you, after you swabbed the defendant in this case, place that swab into the bag that is labeled as State's Exhibit number 5, did you alter, delete, mess with, tamper with, do anything at all to the swab of the defendant's mouth?
No, ma'am.
And other than the fact that the State's Exhibit number 5 has been opened by the crime lab for testing, is this container in the same or substantially the same condition as when you sealed it?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the State will tender State's Exhibit number 5.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
No further questions.
No objection.
Sorry, no further questions for the detective.
Okay. Any cross-examination?
Yes, I'll be very brief on this, Your Honor.
Okay.
Famous last words.
Now, Investigator Rowland, is that the best way that you followed, the best way to collect DNA?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was there anything out of the ordinary or something that occurred while you were collecting that would have compromised it?
No, nothing at all.
Okay. And was Ms. Payne very cooperative when that occurred?
Very cooperative, yes.
All right, Nick, go first.
Okay. Any redirect?
No, Judge.
Okay. May this witness be excused?
Yes, Ms. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think the flu is going around the area. They are trying to check people that come in.
Because of what occurred earlier, we switched the order of our witnesses. We had given these witnesses a little bit longer at lunch.
Okay.
So can we just ensure that they have returned?
Certainly, you may.
Since we sent one witness.
Okay.
Thank you.
In short, she's saying, Judge, can I leave the courtroom and make sure we still have a witness out there? So she's headed out. We're going to wait while they check for a witness. The last witness had a huge watch, massive. And yes, it did match perfectly with his badge. He color coordinated. Apple Watches are huge. I tell you, it took a long time to get used to mine. The only reason I have one is because my company paid for it. I would not spend that much on a watch because, frankly, I didn't wear a watch before that. But my company paid for it because it told me if you track how far you walk, we'll give you X number of dollars. And the amount they gave me was like $100 more than what it cost for the watch. And so I didn't have to walk a certain distance. I just had to track it and tell them. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's an invasion of privacy, but I'll do it for a free watch. I'm a sucker for that every time. Waste of time. No, they had to establish the chain of custody, I think, Rosebud, to say that they've got DNA evidence, because they are going to be presenting evidence about DNA on the firearm itself, and that's where the match has to occur. So there's not a lot to it in that testimony, but it's become very important when they say they have 3 profiles that they found on the gun. Definitely right-handed. I wonder if people shoot right. Oh. Attorney's back. And good to go.
Ashley Haas.
Okay.
It was not DNA, it was a wooden peg in the bag. The buckle swab? Is that what you're talking about? Fingerprints and DNA were collected off the firearm, I believe. Both. Lots of pauses in this court. Welcome, Georgina. Good to have you here. It goes well. They're charging malice murder. So she's facing life without parole. Let's see. This was a grand jury indictment. They charged her with malice murder, felony murder, aggravated assault, felony murder while committing the offense of false imprisonment, and unlawful detainment, possession of a firearm in 3 different counts. Possession of a firearm. These are aggravating charges, so they make it worse because she was possession of a firearm while she committed the crime. But it's all the same crime. It's just different ways you can look at it. The laws that she broke.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you will provide to this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, you can take a seat and pull yourself up to the microphone. All right, could you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Ashley Haas. That is spelled ASHLEY, HAAS as in Sam.
And where are you employed?
I am currently employed at the Georgia Bureau of Investigation in the Division of Forensic Sciences, which is typically called the Crime Lab.
And what is your current position with the Crime Lab?
I am currently a Crime Lab Scientist 3 Senior, specifically a latent print examiner.
Now, can you describe the education and training you've had that qualifies you for this position?
Yes. I received a Bachelor of Science in Forensic Biology with a minor in Chemistry from Western New England University in Springfield, Massachusetts. Upon being hired by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, I successfully completed the 5-month National Latent Print Examiner Training Academy in Meridian, Mississippi, as well as 2 years of in-house training at the GBI following that academy. Each year I complete at least 16 hours of continuing education as well.
And do you hold any certifications?
I do not currently.
And are you a member of any professional organizations?
I am not.
Now, how many prints have you processed during your career as a latent print examiner?
This is not a number that I keep track of, but generally speaking, I work about 25 to 30 cases per month, and those cases can range from 1 print to upwards of 100, so many.
And have you ever been tendered as an expert in the court in the state of Georgia?
I have.
And how many times?
4 times.
At this time, Your Honor, the state moves to tender this witness as an expert in the field of fingerprint examination and comparison.
Any objection?
Not at this time.
Okay. Submitted.
All right, can you explain your job duties?
Yes, as a latent print examiner at the GBI, my job duties generally include processing items of evidence in an effort to develop latent prints, photographing latent prints that are developed during processing, completing comparisons of latent print to known prints, as well as searching latent prints on both the state and national databases, writing official reports with my results, and testifying to those results in court. I also sometimes have the opportunity to work with identifying unidentified decedents for our medical examiner's office.
Now, Ms. Haas, what is a friction-ridged skin?
Friction-ridged skin is going to be the skin found on the palm sides of the hands, from the finger all the way down to the palm, as well as on the soles of your feet. Friction-ridged skin is made up of raised portions known as ridges. They flow across the surface and create different patterns, which are commonly referred to as your fingerprint. Within friction-ridged skin, there are ridge characteristics, which is when a ridge is flowing and ends, that's what we're going to call a ridge ending, or when a ridge is flowing and splits into two like a Y, we refer to that as a bifurcation. The different patterns that these create is, as I said, what we refer to as a fingerprint, but it can also be a palm print or a footprint.
And what is a known print?
A known print is going to be an intentional reproduction of the information within friction-ridged skin. It's often taken using ink and paper or electronically using a live scan device.
And what is a latent print?
A latent print is going to be a chance or an unintentional reproduction of the information in the friction-ridged skin that's left on a surface or an item when it's touched or handled. The term latent also typically means that it may not be readily visible to the naked eye and may require some sort of processing in order to be visible.
Now, what are the basic principles of using fingerprints as a means of identification?
The basic principles are going to be uniqueness and persistency. So I'm just going to break those down into the two. So unique is that when the friction ridges are formed in a random pattern, so no two people are going to have exactly those same ridge characteristics in the same place in comparison to each other. Even your index finger is not going to be the same as your middle finger because they are being formed randomly. And these are formed actually during utero. And the persistent side of that is that when your friction-ridged skin is formed, the characteristics within that are not going to change throughout your lifetime. They're going to generally persist. They're generally stable, barring any kind of disease or possibly injury like scarring.
Now, how are items that you receive in the crime lab processed for latent prints?
When an item of evidence is received in the impression section in order to be processed for latent prints, the first thing that's going to happen is I'm going to open the item of evidence and I'm going to take an overall photo to document how that item was received previous to me doing any kind of processing. I'm next going to do a visual examination using different types and colors of light in order to see if any of those latent prints are actually visible without doing any processing. And then I'm going to look at what kind of item it is. What processes I utilize is going to be determined by what type of item I'm dealing with. Typically speaking, there are porous and non-porous items. Porous is going to be something like paper, where when an item is touched, the residue on your friction ridges is actually going to seep into that. It's not going to sit on the surface, but it's actually going to be part of it. This makes it a little more stable and not as easily wiped away. Whereas a non-porous item is going to be something like glass or plastic, where the residue actually sits on the surface of the item. If you were to think about touching your glass window, you'd be very easily able to swipe that away. So, like I said, what kind of item we're dealing with is how I'm going to decide what type of processing I'm going to use. And after each process, I'm going to do a visual examination again to see if I've developed any latent prints, and then use photography to capture those latent prints to be used later for potential comparison or a database search.
All right, did the crime lab receive items in this case for processing?
Yes, it did.
And do you know who provided those items to the crime lab?
Can I please reference my notes, Your Honor?
Yes.
Those items were received from the Clayton County Police Department.
And what items did you receive?
I received a firearm, a magazine, and 11 cartridges.
Now, can we go step by step for each item, and you can describe how you process each item, starting with the firearm?
Yes, ma'am. The firearm, when I received it, had actually been previously processed. In the incident report, it stated that the item had been superglue fumed. So in that case, I still did my initial visual to see if there were any latent prints that were visible. And then I moved on to a process known as dye staining. In this case, I used basic yellow. So just to move back, I did use superglue fuming on some of the other items, so I'm just going to give a general description of that. Superglue fuming is when superglue is placed onto a hot plate, it becomes a vapor and adheres to latent print residue, creating almost a plasticized print. This just allows there to be contrast between the item and the super glue. So like in this case, the firearm was black. So the hope is that by turning those ridges white, I'm going to be able to actually visualize that I'm creating contrast. So the next step, as I said, I used basic yellow. This is a dye stain, and all that does is that it doesn't actually develop any more latent prints, but it turns that super glue fluorescent yellow. Again, I'm just trying to create more contrast between my background and the actual ridges. And so for the firearm, that was my final step.
And what were you specifically looking for?
In this case, I was looking for potentially suitable latent prints. At the GBI, for something to be considered potentially suitable, it has to have at least 7 of those ridge characteristics, those ridge endings or bifurcations that I spoke about earlier.
And did you find suitable prints on the firearm?
I did not.
Now, is it possible for a person to touch a surface and not leave a fingerprint or a palm print?
Yes, it is.
And can you explain why that may happen?
Yes, there are a couple of known reasons. You've heard me say a couple times that there's residue. So if you were to think about if you were to swipe across your forehead, you might feel a little bit of sweat on your fingers. That is a type of fingerprint residue. Fingerprint residue is really a generalized term used for any contaminant that is on the friction ridge skin when an item is touched. So if someone has drier hands, they may not have as much residue and therefore it may not leave a latent print at all. There's also the possibility that they did leave a latent print, but on something like a firearm, that's that non-porous surface, it was sitting on the surface, and if something was rubbed against it or it was placed in a pocket or something like that, it could be wiped off. And then there's also the chance that, like I said, friction ridge impressions can be made of things like sweat. After a certain length of time, sweat may evaporate. Something that was on the surface originally may no longer be there. So yeah, those are generally going to be the reasons why you can touch an item and not leave a print behind.
And so as it relates to the firearm, there were no prints suitable for comparison?
Correct. I did not find any potentially suitable latent prints.
Now let's talk about the magazine.
Would you like me to go over how I processed it?
Yes, please.
So for the magazine, the first step I did was a visual examination again to see if there was any potentially suitable latent prints that were visible before processing. And then I moved on to that super glue fuming that I spoke about, followed by the fluorescent dye stain basic yellow.
And what were your results?
So for the magazine, when I did my visual examination, I did find potentially suitable latent prints, but there was no improvement after that initial step.
Now let's talk about the one cartridge. How did you process that?
So the cartridge was going to be the visual that I spoke about, followed by super glue fuming, as well as basic yellow. And then specifically for cartridges, I utilized something called gun blue. What this is going to do is instead of reacting with the fingerprint residue, it's actually reacting with the metal that the cartridge is made of. The fingerprint residue actually becomes a protectant. It's going to protect the metal underneath it, while the gun blue reacts to all the metal that doesn't have fingerprint residue on it and turns it a bluish gray color.
And what were the results for the one cartridge?
For the one cartridge, after visual, I did not see any potentially suitable latent prints. I did, however, find potentially suitable latent prints after super glue fuming, and those were improved after applying the basic yellow dye stain.
And so you ultimately did find suitable prints on the one cartridge for comparison?
So during the processing steps, we only consider if something is potentially suitable or not. The actual suitability for comparison is determined later on during the actual comparison portion.
So there were some potentially suitable prints on the one cartridge for comparison?
Correct.
Now I think the final item was the 10 cartridge?
Yes.
And what was the process that you used for that?
Those were going to be the same processes that I used on the other cartridge: visual, super glue fuming, basic yellow dye stain, and gun blue.
And were there any possible suitable prints for comparison for the 10 cartridge?
No, there were not.
Now, after you completed the processing of all 4 items, did you conduct any examinations for comparison?
I did not.
And based on the results of your examination, just for clarity, which items would have been possibly suitable for further comparison?
So after I did my processing, the magazine and one cartridge did have potentially suitable latent prints on them.
And were all of your results recorded and documented?
Yes, they were.
Guys, let's be nice to the witness here. Thank you.
Any cross-examination? Okay.
New exhibits on the Maya docket.
Good.
I'll try to keep it short and sweet.
Appreciate it.
Could you clarify what you mean by magazine and cartridge?
So the magazine is going to be what holds the cartridges. It actually slides into the firearm. And the one cartridge is only separated from the other cartridges because it was the one that had positive results. They all would have initially been most likely in the magazine. When we receive them at the lab, it does have to be unloaded, so I got them as separate entities.
So to kind of put it in layman terms, it's a clip to a gun and bullets in the gun, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And through all these testing and everything you did, nothing came out as conclusive to say that fingerprint was Ms. Payne.
So in this particular instance, I only did the processing of these items. I was not the examiner who went and did the comparison.
But you stated earlier that there was nothing that was possibly suitable. So does that mean it's inconclusive that it was fingerprints that were Ms. Payne?
No, so what I did state was that there was potentially suitable latent prints found on the magazine and one cartridge. I would not have gone on further to determine if they were suitable for comparison or who they would have potentially been made by.
Okay, so you're not here to say that the fingerprints matched by, you're just talking about the process of how to collect it?
Correct, I only did processing in this case.
Thank you, no further questions.
Any regional?
No problem. Okay, thank you. Ms. Moss. Stand and call its next witness.
Yes, Your Honor, they called Emily Kirk.
Some of these witnesses are laying the foundation for evidence that's going to be presented later. Some of it's chain of custody. Some of it's just to lay the foundation to build to get to the point where we can admit items of evidence. So it's procedural, it's routine. Some of it sounds very scripted. We've heard that almost those exact words in many other trials already. But lays the groundwork for where we're getting.
Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you will provide to this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, you may take a seat and pull yourself up to the microphone. All right, would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Emily Kuruc, EMILY-KURUC.
And where are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Division of Forensic Sciences, also known as the State Crime Lab.
And what is your current position with the crime lab?
I'm a latent print examiner.
Now, how long have you been employed with the crime lab?
I've been with the crime lab for a little over 24 years, the last 15 of that as a latent print examiner.
And can you describe the education and training that qualifies you for this position?
I have a Bachelor of Science degree in criminal justice with a concentration in forensic investigations from Jacksonville State University in Jacksonville, Alabama. Since being employed with the GBI Crime Lab, I successfully completed their on-the-job training program for a latent print examiner, which was approximately a year and a half, and covered a wide range of subject matter related to latent prints, such as the history of the use of latent prints for identification, and the processing techniques that are involved in order to develop those. Then, of course, the examination, which includes the analysis thereof, database searches, and the like. And in 2014, I achieved my certification through the IAI, which is the International Association for Identification, as a latent print examiner.
Okay, and are you a member of any professional organizations?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Are you required to complete any continuing continuing education in your field?
Yes, we do have a certain number of hours of continuing education that we have to complete within an accreditation cycle.
I think it's an average of 16 hours per year, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Now, have you ever been tendered as an expert in the court in the state of Georgia?
Yes, I have.
And how many times?
Approximately 45.
Okay, at this time, the state moves to tender this witness as an expert in the field of fingerprint examination and comparison.
No.
Okay, so admitted.
Okay, we just heard testimony from Ashley Haas, and it is my understanding that her role in this case was just to process the prints or lift the prints on items received from Clayton County Police Department. And that would have been a firearm, magazine, and I think it was separated into 1 cartridge and a 10 cartridge. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, what was your role in this case?
My role was to examine the developed latent prints.
And what specific items were sent to you that were possibly suitable for comparison?
What I had to examine are actually digital images of those developed latent prints.
And do you recall which items?
Yes, it was digital images from developed latent prints from the magazine and 1 of the cartridges.
Now, how are comparisons made? What is the process?
The process is I visually examine these latent prints. They're in digital format, so I do this on screen on the computer. I am reviewing the information that is available to me within that latent print. I'm looking for specific details that would allow me to make a comparison with a known print if I had known prints.
And did you have known prints in this case?
Yes.
And do you recall who those prints belonged to?
Yes, I had a set of postmortem prints listed as from Kenneth Elton Herring, and then I had a set of finger and palm prints listed as being from Hannah Renee Payne.
Now, can you walk us through the process of your examination for comparison for the digital images that you received for both items?
Yes. I was going to say, did you mean specifically from one item to the other?
Well, for all the results for, I believe it would be listed in your report as 12B.
Okay. So the images of the developed latent prints from 12B and 12C were analyzed, and 1 latent print from each item, so 1 latent print from the magazine and 1 latent print from the cartridge was determined to be suitable for comparison, which means that there was enough detailed information in that latent print in order for me to put that side by side with with the known prints in order to make a comparison.
And did you do that?
Yes.
And what were your results for 12B, which would have been the magazine?
For 12B, I actually utilized 2 methods to compare these items. The first method that I used is using an AFIX tracker system, and that's AFIX tracker system. It allows me to create a mini database. When I have a latent print that I might not know exactly what area of the palm a latent print is coming from, or if I'm not certain of the orientation, then it allows me to enter those latent prints into that system and then also enter the known prints into that system, and it does a quick little search for me to help me see if there's anything that might line up that I would then want to visually compare. In that particular instance, for the latent print from 12B and also from 12C, I used that tracker system to do that search for me, and there were no identifications for that. I also visually looked for this print myself. The print from the magazine appears to be a partial palm print, and at least that's the way it looks, but there's not enough of the ridge flow information that lets me be certain of that, so that's part of the other reason I use the tracker system. Then I visually looked for that latent print within the set of knowns as well. For 12B, I had inconclusive results because the palm prints that I was given for knowns to compare were not completely recorded. So I didn't have all of the information I needed in order to achieve a comparison. For the latent print from item 12C, those results were also inconclusive, but that was for a different reason. It just, the latent print itself lacks sufficient detail in order for our procedures at the lab in order to be able to exclude it, because I didn't know the proper orientation of the latent print at the time.
So just to be clear, what would you have needed to get a conclusive result for 12B?
The rest of the palm prints, the palm prints that I had only went up to a certain point on the palm, and I needed to be able to see all areas of that friction-ridged skin. So up to and including where the palm connects to the fingers. We refer to that as the interdigital area. That portion of the palms was missing from the knowns.
And what would you have needed to get conclusive results for 12C?
Well, it would either need to be an actual identification or it would always remain inconclusive.
And are your results recorded and documented?
Yes.
Nothing further, John. Thank you. Attorney Tucker, you can process that.
And it's investigator correct?
It's not investigator.
Examiner. Yes,
correct.
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So basically, your testimony is that whoever went and got the palm example for you did not get sufficient evidence for you to use.
However, it was taken. Known exemplars can be taken with ink and paper or cards, or if it's with a digital device, that's a flat screen of glass that's placed on there. So in some instances, depending on the structure of the hand, sometimes those areas don't even touch the glass to be recorded. So I don't know how they were taken, but yes, in some way they were lacking in the information.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to try to pose it as if somebody had done something wrong. The information you got was not sufficient for you to come to a conclusion.
Yes.
Okay. And so your results of all this was inconclusive, correct?
Correct.
No further questions.
A redirect?
Why did it not redo those?
You may step down.
If the knowns were bad, why didn't they not get another set?
You may call your next witness.
May call Shakanda Rosser.
Rosebud, I think you're right on this, but she's, according to the law, it was right. It was okay for her to have the gun. That's as far as I've heard, according to the law. So we can't say because you were following the law, the bad thing happened. So we'll see what's up next.
If you would just you stand up for me real quick and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you will give before the court of this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes.
You can take your hand down and have a seat. And are you requesting to keep your mask on for your testimony?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. If you would just make sure you're enunciating and speaking loudly enough for the court reporter to hear your answers and for the jury to hear you as well.
Okay.
If you would state and spell your name.
Shakanda Rosser, SHAKONDA, Rosser, ROSSER.
And Ms. Rosser, back on May the 7th of 2019, were you in the area of Forest Parkway, Clark Howell, Upper Riverdale, and Riverdale Road, in that area?
Yes.
Why would you have been in that area?
I was traveling to a friend's house.
And do you remember about what time of day you were in that area?
I'm not certain.
Okay. Tell us how you were traveling from a friend's house. Or were you going to a friend's house or from?
To a friend's house.
And were you in a vehicle?
I was in a vehicle. I was in, I guess that would be the opposite direction in which the incident occurred.
Okay, so I'm going to use a map to see if that helps you.
This
in
might
just
be really,
a moment.
really insightful.
Who was in the car with you?
I was by myself.
Guys, I'm sorry. Let's drop the masks conversation. We do know that the flu's going around, and the court's concerned about sickness to have the court progress. If there's an outbreak of illness in the court, it really messes up a trial. It's a precaution they're taking. I don't know why they've determined that it's necessary right now, but they are taking temperatures and stuff at the entrance. So it's just what it is. So some of these witnesses might be told to wear masks.
Forest Parkway and Phoenix Boulevard and the other main road, Riverdale Road, coming this way. Can you kind of tell us where you recall that you were traveling?
If I'm not mistaken, I think this is the way to get to the highway. I was coming down this way.
Okay.
In the far left lane, turning lane.
And so for the record, since the record doesn't see the pointing, you're, I don't know if it's south, but as far as the map, you're going from the top of the map toward the bottom. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. As you were driving to your friend's house, did anything occur that drew your attention?
Yes.
And can you describe what drew your attention to anything else on the road?
What drew my attention was seeing a Jeep abruptly come around the rest of the traffic and stopped in front of a red truck. That's what drew my attention. I began to slow down.
Okay. And kind of describe, if you recall, what the traffic was like at that time of day when you're traveling on that particular day.
It was moderate. It wasn't too busy.
Okay. In the direction that you were traveling?
Yes.
And so when you indicated that you saw a Jeep drive abruptly around a truck, would that have been something the Jeep would have been traveling toward you?
Yes.
After you saw the Jeep drive around the truck, what did you see happen with that Jeep and that truck next?
I saw the Jeep block the truck in to where the truck couldn't move, and the truck tried to go forward, and there was impact. Once the impact happened, I saw smoke come from the truck and oil leaking from the truck. And after that, I saw a young lady get out the car.
And when you say the car, which car?
Out of the Jeep. I saw a young lady approach the truck and begin swinging and hitting the man that was in the driver's side of the truck.
Okay, from your angle, you could see that it was a female who got out of the Jeep?
Yes.
And how, from your angle, were you also able to see that there was a man in the truck?
Yes.
And when after you see the Jeep block the truck in, are you moving or are you still?
That's when I stopped.
Where did the driver of the Jeep go after she gets out of the Jeep?
She got out of her Jeep and she immediately went to the truck driver's side, yelling and punching.
Now, when you say punching, what was she punching?
She was punching the man in the truck repeatedly because his window was down, and she just kept punching him over and over and over.
And you indicated that driver was yelling. Could you hear what she was saying when she got out yelling?
Could not hear what she was saying. I just know she was yelling at the driver of the truck.
From your vantage point, could you tell where on the driver of the truck she was punching?
To me, from what I saw, like I said, I was on the side. It looked as if she was punching him in the chest. It wasn't the face, it was a little lower, it's like in the chest area.
Were you able to see what the man in the truck was doing?
Yes.
What could you see about him?
He was sitting there. He didn't raise any hands or anything. He was just sitting there. That's what got my attention, because he wasn't reacting. So I thought that was kind of odd, just sitting there and allowing somebody to punch him like that.
Did you ever see the driver of the truck? Did you ever see his hands at all?
No, not at that moment.
Okay. Could you see anything about the facial expressions or anything like that on the driver of the truck?
He looked confused and shocked, so I figured something was wrong with him.
Could you tell if he was saying anything?
No.
Let me clarify that. No, you couldn't tell, or no, you didn't. He wasn't saying anything to your knowledge.
To my knowledge, I didn't see his mouth moving. I didn't see him saying anything at that moment.
Based on your observations, were there other drivers in the area that were also stopped?
Yes.
After you see the driver of the Jeep at the window striking, what did you see next?
After she repeatedly punched him and yelled at him, she backed away. And after she backed away, I could see the gun on her hip. And she pulled the gun out after punching him repeatedly and asked him to get out the car. Now this is when it was a little louder. I cracked my window after this point so I could hear her telling him to get out the car. She was pointing the gun at him, telling him to get out the car, get out the car. And I think she got a little frustrated because he wasn't getting out the car. So after that, she went back to the car and began punching him again.
And when you said back, when you said the car, she went back to which car?
The truck. Okay. She went back to the man's truck and began punching him again.
And does she have the gun at this point?
She has a gun in her hand. If I'm not mistaken, I believe she switched so she could continue to punch him. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. You finish.
After she continued to punch him, she backed away from the truck again, had the gun held on him, told him to get out the car. He wasn't responding. He didn't say anything. So she went back to the car and tried to open the door.
And when you say the car,
the truck, I'm sorry.
Okay,
she went back to the truck and she tried to open the door, but it was locked. So that's when I seen her reach inside the truck. It looked like she tried to open the truck from the inside. When she couldn't get the door open from the inside, I say maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes, that's when I heard the gunshot.
And where was the person with the woman with the gun? Where was her? Where was she physically when you heard the gunshot?
She was up on the truck, like right up on the driver's side window of the truck, right next to it.
And do you know where the gun was, based on your observation?
At that time, the gun was in her, if I'm not mistaken, right hand, but it was inside the truck. So, of course, with the door panel, I couldn't see what was going on after she stuck it in there, but the door wouldn't open. So I thought she was maybe trying to unlock it from the inside to get the door open.
Okay, that was what you observed. That's what you believed she was trying to do, was unlock the door.
Yes.
But when you hear the gunshot, I just want to make sure I understand, the hand or the arm with the gun was inside the truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Based on your observations, did you see anyone try to intervene or to stop this from happening?
Yes.
What did you see?
I saw a bystander stop. He was in the passenger side of a truck. He got out the truck, tried to approach her, and at this time her back was turned, so he was approaching her from behind. And when she turned around with the gun, he just threw his hands up and walked back to the car that he came from.
Did you, I asked you a question earlier about when the person was striking the driver of the truck, and I asked if you saw his hands, and you said not at that moment. Was there any point in which you saw his hands?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you ever see the driver of the truck do anything aggressive toward the driver of the Jeep?
No, I think that's why it was shocking to me, just seeing him sitting there taking what she was giving. I thought that was kind of shocking. He didn't even try to defend himself as far as putting his hands up or anything.
From your vantage point?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Based on your observations, could you describe the demeanor of the woman with the gun?
At what point?
Let's start when she first gets out of the Jeep. What do you see?
Anger. She was like, it's almost like she was in a rage, very highly upset. So that's what caught my attention at first to make me stop, like I said, because she blocked him in. And when he hit the impact, that's what made me stop. So she was angry at first.
And what else did you observe?
Just a lot of yelling. The punching, I think, the most shocked me the most. That the repetitive punching. I mean, it was very hard. And it was like, you want to get out and help, but we didn't know what was going on. I honestly thought, maybe she was, I don't know, like a little, I don't want to say crazy, but she just seemed a little irate.
Okay. And when she pulled the gun, what was the demeanor?
Still angry. And at this point, it seemed frustrated because he wasn't complying with her.
And after the shooting, what were you able to observe the shooter do?
I saw her get on her phone. I saw her take whatever shirt she had on. If I'm not mistaken, I think she took it off. She went to her trunk and got another shirt and put that sweater or shirt on while she was on the phone, I'm assuming, with the police, I'm assuming.
And after the shot, did you see the shooter approach the man in the truck who had been shot?
After the shot, did I see her approach the man in the truck?
Yes.
From what I remember, after the shot, she was on the phone and she just changed her sweater and she was just kind of walking around. But I don't remember her going back to the truck, approaching the truck again.
On that date, on May the 7th of 2019, to your knowledge, had you ever seen the woman in the Jeep before?
No.
Had you ever seen the man in the truck before?
No.
And are you the only witness who stopped, or did other people stop and were milling about as law enforcement arrived?
Other people stopped. I was just the only one on my side.
That was facing the
opposite
incident?
way of traffic, yes.
Did you know any of those other drivers?
No.
Any of the other witnesses that stopped and on scene, did you know any of those people?
No.
And did you provide police, did you stay on scene to talk to police?
Yes.
And did you provide a written statement?
Yes.
And was that a lengthy written statement full of details, or tell us about the circumstances under which you wrote that statement?
No, it wasn't lengthy because I was kind of in a rush. I did write the major details of what happened.
And then did you later go to the police department for an interview and answer further questions?
Yes.
Just one moment.
There's probably going to be a lot of cross on this one, guys. Interesting. There are some discrepancies, but a lot of consistencies between the other stories. Big discrepancy is when the gun was produced.
Attorney Tucker, cross-examination.
He has one pleasantries and then gets straight to it. Watch
Mr. Officer, how are you doing today?
There's a pleasantry.
My name is Matt Tucker. I'm the attorney for Ms. Payne, and I have a few questions to try to clarify what's going on. Now, you said that you were coming from a different direction on the highway, correct?
Yes.
And you were in the turn lane, turning which way?
Turning left.
So on this map here, you were coming down from the top part, turning left, going the opposite way, correct?
But I didn't make it to the turn.
Okay, you didn't make it to the turn. Okay, so was there any cars in front of you, behind you?
There was one car in front of me. They slowed down, but then they continued on.
Okay. And so how far away would you say that you were from the the accident or the incident here from where you were?
In yards, approximately maybe no more than 10 yards, if that.
And I noticed you mentioned yards, so you know the difference between feet and yards. Like a football field has yards and then there are feet. And you're saying you're 10 yards away from the incident.
10 or less, it was definitely no more than 10.
Okay, and you stopped, did you stop in the intersection? Did you stop before going into the intersection?
I stopped before going into the intersection. I was basically neighbors with the incident. I was right next to them.
10 yards from them, correct?
Possibly less than 10 yards. I'm not good at estimating distance.
Okay, so would you say this is 10 yards between me and you?
Maybe.
Okay, how close, if I was to step forward, would this say how close you were? Or would it be moving back? Moving back, about right here?
Maybe right at the podium, probably.
Oh, right here?
Right there.
Okay, okay, so that's how far you were, excuse me, from the incident that you saw. Okay.
Yes.
And you stated that you saw, it looked like radiation fluid coming from the truck or oil coming from the truck?
Yes.
All right, now was the truck on the other side of the Jeep or was it behind the Jeep?
We got some more radiation fluid.
The truck was in a forward going motion. The Jeep, came around the truck. So I guess it would be on the side of the Jeep because she blocked him in.
Okay, if I may have, I may approach her on?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that kind of the angle that you saw, or is that better?
That's what I was saying, the side of the Jeep. It was on the side.
These are ones of the previous, and I'm showing her. Exhibit number 4 and 7. Exhibit number 4 and 7.
Exhibit number 4, 7.
But from what you see right there, is that a fair and accurate representation of what the accident looked like that you saw?
Yes.
Okay, and the one I showed first, the exhibit number 5, is that a fair and accurate representation of what you saw with the accident?
5's new.
Yes.
Okay, is that exactly how it looked like on number 5, the first one I put down there?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, I would like to introduce exhibit number 5. Okay.
Any objection from the state?
No objection, Judge. Thank you.
And the other two have already been introduced. Okay. So looking at that right there, you can see that the Jeep was in front of the truck, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And you were on the other side looking.
Hold on a second. Ms. Rosser, you have to articulate because the court reporter is recording everything, so she doesn't have the ability to record. So you have to articulate. Okay.
And you are on the other side, so you could see the Jeep before you could see the truck, correct?
Yes, but at the angle I was at, I could see both cars, of course. But yes.
If I may, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying here, coming down there and you're going to turn this way, correct? And the incident happened kind of here, correct? Or a little higher. You can stand up.
Where's the highway? I'm on this road, on the far left lane to get ready to turn left. But I didn't make it to the light to turn left because I stopped because of the incident.
So whereabouts did you stop?
When I say like right across from the incident, if I can ask a question, is this the highway? Is this where you get ready to get on the highway? Okay.
Who just answered her?
Okay. Well, right before the turn, before you get on the highway, that's exactly where I stopped on the opposite side. So I didn't make it as far as the light to get ready to turn left. I wanted to turn left, but I didn't make it that far. So we're saying right up in here somewhere.
Okay, and where did the incident occur?
On the opposite side of where I was. So I guess over in here somewhere, right before you get ready to turn on the highway. I mean, to make the turn. So I didn't get as far as here. there was a line of cars here. So I had to be somewhere right up in here and where the incident was. I just know that he was headed towards the highway. He was in the turning lane for the highway, but she stopped it.
Okay, so nothing occurred over here.
What area?
This area down there.
No, we were on that side.
Okay. Okay, so you're saying this occurred up closer to the highway, correct?
Yes, sir, right before you get ready to get on the highway.
Or were there any medians in there before you get to the highway?
On my side or her side?
Any
on
side?
On the incident side.
Any
there
side.
was a median in between my side and their side.
Okay. Did you see any vehicle jump over that median? Or any vehicles jump over the median?
I just remember her coming around, because mind you, I was approaching the incident as it was, what made me stop was her coming around the truck. So if she did jump a median, that part I did not see.
Okay.
I just saw as she came around and she blocked me in.
Okay. And at any time that you're looking and seeing what's going on, did you see her jump into the window?
Jump into the window?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Okay. And at any time did you see her come out of the Jeep with a gun and holding that gun point?
No, that's not how it happened.
Okay. And as you were going, you said there was a vehicle in front of you, correct? And you were watching that vehicle in front of you go out through the turn, or did they stop?
Well, not really watching them, not my peripheral. I just noticed they slowed down and then they took off. They slowed down, I guess, because they saw the commotion as well, and then they sped up and went ahead and went forward. I stopped because the whole thing was shocking.
Okay. So you stopped and you're about, say, 10 yards away from it, and you said 10 yards, I'm sorry. Okay, and you said that she didn't have the gun drawn or anything, correct?
Not when she first got out, no.
Okay. But you said you just walked up, just started beating. Okay. And did you notice that the windows were tinted or anything like that on the truck?
The truck's windows were down.
Okay. And did you notice the race of the driver of the truck?
Yes.
Okay, what was that race?
The black.
Okay. And it was a white female that came out of the Jeep, correct?
Yes.
And you said at one point there was a vehicle that stopped that came to assist, correct?
Yes.
And you said, what was the race of the person who came out of the car? On the passenger side?
It was a white male.
Okay, who was on the driver's side?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And you said he came out to assist. Where was he at in this diagram up here, ma'am?
It's easier to show it on here. Oh. He stopped. He was on the same side as the incident, and he actually stopped.
And feel free to stand up and show us if you don't mind.
He wants you to point it out because there's a very big discrepancy about the exact location of the accident.
Excuse me. He was on the same side as the incident, which was this lane. So he might have stopped maybe a few feet. If the incident was here, he stopped a few feet in the middle and got out
closer
and approached the young lady.
So he'd have been right there beside you or kind of adjacent?
He was ahead of me.
Okay, so he's ahead of you between you and the incident, correct?
Yes.
Okay. He didn't hinder your vision in any form or fashion? Okay. And he got out and walked up and she turned around. Did you see any gun pointed at this individual?
She had the gun in her hand. He tried to approach her. Seemed like he tried to calm her down and see what was going on. Like I said, he approached her from behind. Once she turned around and he saw the gun, he threw his hands up and he got back in his car.
But she never put the gun up to put at him or
no.
At him. Okay. And you said at this time the gun was in which hand?
At that time, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the right hand.
Okay. And she was punching with which hand?
Which time, first or second?
Any time. You can go the first. You said the first. So what time is she punching?
The first time she was punching, if I'm not mistaken, with her right hand. She just, with her right hand. She just kept punching over and over.
Okay. And then when you said that she pulled the gun out, which hand she pulled the gun out with?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe she pulled the gun out with her left hand.
Her left hand.
And she pulled it out with her left hand.
Was it on her right hip or her left hip?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was on her left side.
Okay.
I think it was on her left side.
So she's punching. She goes, pulls the gun from the left side.
She wasn't punching at the time she pulled the gun. She punched. She stepped back, pulled the gun out, held the gun, then proceeded to go back to the car and began punching again.
Right. And you said she switched the gun with the hands.
I believe so.
Okay, so she pulled the left arm, she switched it up to go with the left.
To go punch again.
With the left hand.
Are you saying hold the gun with the left hand or punch with the left hand?
You said that, and you did your words. I want you to explain it. She pulled the gun out with her left hand, and you said at one point she switched the gun.
I think from what I remember, this was a long time ago, she pulled the gun out with her left hand, but she was holding it. Get out the car.
She was holding it with both hands.
Once he didn't comply, she came up to the car, and I believe that's when she switched hands so she could begin punching again.
And she switched hands to which hand?
I believe she switched to the left. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe she was punching with the right hand.
Okay. And she pulled the gun with the left hand.
Because I believe it was on her left side.
And then she switched it back to the left?
When she was punching.
Okay, so at one point she had it in her right hand.
Yes. You said at what point?
Yes, sir.
After she finished punching for the first time, she pulled it out, pointed the gun, and if I'm not mistaken, she had both hands on the gun. When she got ready to approach again to punch again, maybe that's what it is, the gun was switched so she could punch. So the right hand, because when she reached in the car, the gun was in that same right hand.
Okay, all right. But you remember writing a statement for the police that day, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall telling the police that she was waving the gun?
No.
If I may approach Your Honor.
They're redacting it because he does not redact all his documents.
When you say waving, are you saying above her head? Because you did a motion like above her head.
Hold for a second, Ms. Watson.
They have a Sharpie. They're just crossing out driver's license, phone numbers, addresses, that information off the statement. Because the first witness, the defense, showed the police statement too. All that was displayed. The projectors wasn't working earlier today, so we didn't see anything at all. But we'll see what happens here.
If I may approach Your Honor.
Yes, you may.
And let me explain. If I do an action or something that's not reflective of what you said, please feel free to correct it, okay?
Okay.
If you read that real quick.
The whole thing?
No, just refresh your memory. You don't have to read it out loud. You can refresh your memory.
So here he's going to try to impeach the witness with discrepancies between her original statement with the police statement and what she's testified to today. He's already got her confused, I think, a little bit with right and left hand.
Having read that, do you recall now saying to or writing down for the police that she was waving a gun?
Yes, I believe I used the wrong terminology.
Okay. So, but when you said it there and you said waving, what could you have possibly meant?
I meant waving in the, like this, but not above her head.
So not pointing, but waving.
Pointing the gun at the man. Okay. Yes.
But in the terminology used in the police report, you said waving, correct?
Yeah, I said she waved it at him.
Okay. And do you recall? So you said that even though you were 10 yards, possibly, maybe shorter, you said there was another individual got out of his car to try to help.
Yes.
Okay. How far was he from her?
When he got out of the car or when he stopped the car?
Either one. Both of them. How about that?
When he stopped the car, I was approximately, because my eyes was focused mainly on her and the man in the truck. but I did see him stop. So I would say approximately, maybe 20, 30 feet, maybe.
Okay. And now you were using yards earlier. Is there any possible way to say how many yards?
Okay.
That's a dirty trick. That's a dirty
maybe
trick.
Maybe 5.
Okay, so he'd been a little closer to the incident, say not this far.
Give or take.
Okay. And at that point, you said he walked up behind Miss Payne, correct?
Yes.
So you couldn't see what Miss Payne was doing because he had obstructed your vision,
He didn't obstruct my vision.
He didn't? How big of a man was he?
How big of a man was
Yeah, what that individual that you said came out to us to?
Maybe 6 feet, but he never stepped in front of me.
Okay, but you were saying she was right there at the window punching.
On my side, I could see her. He stopped ahead.
Okay, when he walked up, you said behind her, correct?
Yeah, her back was turned to him as he was approaching her.
So you could see through him to see her?
He never obstructed my view. He was ahead of me. I'm here, he's coming this way, but I'm stopped right here.
Okay,
so he never obstructed my view.
So he's coming back. Okay, and he's coming back and she's in front of you. Okay,
to my side.
Just because I'm having a problem with this, could you show me again on the diagram right there exactly where they were and you were?
Okay. If I'm in this far turning lane here, the incident is on the opposite side of me. He may have stopped here and got out the car, stopped the car here, but he got out and began to approach. So that's why he never obstructed my view, because I'm here.
Okay. Did you have a green light to turn? Because you said the car in front of you went forward, right?
Oh yeah, the green light changed about 2 or 3 times. I never moved.
Okay. And you're saying that the individual came through the intersection and stopped, or did he stop in the intersection?
A little past the intersection.
Okay. And you don't recall if the light was green or red or?
At that time, no.
Okay. And he coming from behind the incident, came up behind him, correct?
Correct.
All right. And then he got back into his car?
Yes.
All right. Did he ever leave that scene?
After he got in the car, they took off.
They took off. How'd they go around the incident?
Well, it wasn't, remind you, the incident happened in the far right lane. So we still had, I think, 2 lanes that were open, 2 or 3 lanes that were open.
So it would have been easy for any car kind of to get around this incident, correct?
Yes, if they weren't stopped too close.
Okay. So they could have gone around the left or they could have gone around the right, correct?
No, they couldn't have gone around the right. The right is the median. But they could have gone around the left.
Okay. Okay.
If they would have went around the right, they would have been in the grass to go around it. But if they would have run around the left, there was a 1 or 2 lanes, I believe, that's already open.
Okay, so, but the grass had no median, had no barrier, had no concrete to stop it from going in the grass, correct?
A curb.
A curb? It did have a curb?
There was a curb on the right side of the incident, yes.
Okay, you want if I may approach?
You may.
He's tripping her up on all these little details.
Where they were at.
Can you speak up?
Okay, I was just pointing to her that where the incident occurred, that she's already verified as where it was. I showed her where the truck was and what would be considered the right side. Looking at
the application, Attorney Tucker, just make sure you refer to the exhibit.
Defense exhibit number 7. Is it 7? Or
4.
4. Okay. So defense exhibit number 4. You can see the truck, correct?
Yes.
And you can see to the right of the truck, correct?
Yes.
And what is located on the right of the truck?
The sidewalk and the curb.
And is there grass?
There's grass.
Okay. And there is no median there, correct? On
No
the
median,
right
just a
side.
curb.
Okay. So you're stating, and on the other side, is there any median or curb?
Not immediately on the left, no.
Okay. So that was the area that was clear that cars could go around?
And that's how that car proceeded.
And that car didn't stay around to give a statement?
Not that I know of.
But the gentleman got out and felt compelled to help, and then got back in his car and just drove off?
Yeah, after she turned around with the gun in his hand, I think it kind of spooked him. That's why he got back in the car.
But he didn't stay around to give an account of what happened?
Not that I know of. I saw him get back in the car. Whoever was driving, they pulled off. If they stopped down the road, I'm not sure.
Okay. And you said from your view, you could see the face of the driver of the truck?
Yeah, I could see his face.
Okay. And you said that you saw hands only on the outside of the truck punching, correct?
Could you repeat that?
You saw hands on the outside of the truck being punched?
Yeah, I just saw her throwing punches.
Okay. But you stated earlier you saw the punches were hitting him in the chest?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated you didn't see any of his hands?
His hand?
Yes.
No, that's what shocked me and made me stay there, because he wasn't fighting back.
And was that shocking that somebody wouldn't use their hands to block or to roll up the window?
You saying, is it shocking that somebody would do that?
That you said it was shocking what you saw?
Because he wasn't fighting back. Yeah.
Okay, so because he didn't use his hands or because he didn't roll up the window, that's what you felt was shocking?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that she was really punching hard, right?
Yes.
So punching that hard would have left a mark or a scrape or some kind of bruise, correct?
As hard as she was punching.
Speculation at this point. She doesn't know what kind of mark would have been left. She can only describe what she saw. She can't say or speculate as to what the outcome of that would be.
And I can qualify that. I can rephrase it to qualify that question.
Okay, I will sustain the objection and ask you to re-qualify.
Another loss.
So you said that she was punching real hard, correct? Have you ever seen somebody else punch real hard like that?
Yes.
Okay. And did you see the results of when somebody was punching that hard?
No, it was online.
Okay. So, you, from your view and from your opinion, she was punching real hard.
That's what shocked me the most, yes.
Okay. And you stated earlier that it was punching him in the chest?
From my vantage point, that's where it looked like the punches were landed on his chest.
Okay. Did it ever look like a punch in the face or
Never
anything?
saw one in the face, no sir.
Right. So when you say on the chest, was he leaning back in
No,
the
he
car
was-
where it's sitting?
Actually, he was sitting up in the truck in his chair, but just taking them. You could just see, I could see his body taking the punches, but I never saw it in the face.
Okay. So here's the window here, correct?
Okay.
And if he was driving, he would be facing this way, correct?
Yes.
And she's punching from this direction, correct?
Yes, the driver's side, yes.
How in the world is she coming around to hit him in the chest?
I mean, you have two sides of your chest. It was close. I'm assuming the one closest to the window, that's what she was punching.
So she wasn't hitting him in the shoulder, it was the chest.
It looked like the chest was taking the hits. I mean, but she was just wailing. Some could have hit in the shoulder, but it was never in the face. It was always below the chin. That's what I saw.
How did she get around the shoulder? From your viewpoint, it didn't
The
look
shoulder
like
is
it was
right there by the door, so she could have possibly punched the shoulder and the chest. It was just, I never saw her hitting him in the face. It was just his chest.
Okay. And do you recall making any other statements about this incident to the media, to the detectives in an interview?
No, I declined.
You never talked to the detectives in the interview?
The detectives, but not the media.
Okay. So, do you recall speaking to the detective?
Yes.
Do you recall what date that was that you talked to him?
I'm not sure, but it might have been June.
Might have been June, so it was a lot longer than being right there at the incident, correct?
A lot longer, but it was definitely after the incident.
The incident happened on May 7th.
Mm-hmm.
If that helps you qualify.
I don't remember the exact date, but it was definitely a week or so or more after the incident.
Okay. So, and you recall speaking to the detectives, correct?
Yes.
All right. In those statements, did you give any accounts different than what you're giving now?
No, just more detailed.
Okay. And your detail was that he hit the car before she got out of the car, correct?
It was almost to the point where he had no choice but to hit her because she blocked him in.
Okay.
Like he was trying to take off forward, and she
Okay.
stopped that forward progress.
So she's coming around, and he hit her. He didn't stop and then hit her, or did?
Well, he was at a stop, but he was taking off to get ready to proceed. But as he was doing it, she came around, and I think that's when the collision happened.
Okay, so your testimony is that he hit her before she got out of the car. He hit her Jeep before she got out of the car.
Yes, she blocked the truck. Yes, before she got out of the car.
But the impact was, as you said, continuously to hit. It wasn't a stop and then he hit her.
No, he was stopped. Like I said, he was stopped, but he was proceeding to go forward. She came around, and as he was going forward, that's when the impact happened.
Okay, and I don't want to keep, so the impact was continuous as he's coming around. Like you said, he was stopped, but he came forward as she was coming around. So as she's coming around, the hit happened then, correct?
Almost like he couldn't help it, yes.
Okay. And that's when she came out of the car, just immediately started hitting him?
She got out of the car yelling first before she started hitting him.
And what was she yelling?
I couldn't hear what she was yelling. I just know she was yelling at him.
Okay. And I noticed that at one point you said that you stayed in your car, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you rolled your window down so you could hear what was going on, correct?
Yes.
Did you call 911 at that time?
I was in shock.
Okay. Did you think you should have called 911 at that time?
I seen other people on their phone, so I figured they were calling 911.
Right, so you're paying attention to the car in front of you that's going through the intersection, right?
Peripheral, because I was looking at them the whole time.
And you're paying attention to people around you calling 911.
Not while I was watching the incident.
Okay, I asked.
That was my focus.
I asked you a specific question. When you were watching this incident, did you feel that you needed to call 911 and your response was, I saw other people on the phone? Okay, so you're watching the other people.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. And you're saying clearly that the gun was not pulled until after she's up on the window, correct?
The gun was not pulled until after she punched him and she backed away from the window.
But my specific question was, she didn't come out with the gun pulled. She went to the vehicle first. The gun was not pulled.
No.
Okay. And you didn't hear what was being exchanged back and forth, did you?
Not at that time until I rolled the window down.
Okay. And you stated, what kind of shirt was she wearing that day before you said she changed shirt?
If I'm not mistaken, I'm not really sure, but I think it was a white shirt, possibly. Long sleeve, maybe. I'm not sure. I just remember it was a pink sweater.
No, not that she went to her car and changed it to.
Initially what she had on. I'm not sure. I think it might have been a white shirt.
A white shirt, okay. Long sleeve?
Possibly.
Okay. Do you recall what the shirt looked like before she went to her vehicle and put another one on?
No.
Okay. But you were watching everything that was going on, correct?
Yes.
Because it shocked you want to see what was happening.
Yes.
Okay. And you stated, and I think in your report you stated to the detectives that she went and put a pink sweater on, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said you're not sure why she did that.
Yes.
Okay. Well, why was that something that kind of stuck in your head?
Because it was odd.
It was odd that she went and put a sweater on.
Among, with what was happening, yes, it was odd.
Okay. But you didn't see the first shirt did she take that first shirt off before putting the sweater on?
I can't recall.
Okay. Did she have anything in her hands as she was putting that sweater on?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe at that time she had her cell phone.
Okay. And did you see where the cell phone was during this whole occurrence?
No.
Okay. But she never, as she was there beside the vehicle, she didn't go back and get the cell phone, did she?
I don't recall.
Okay. Did you recall if there was anything on the ground around her as she was beside the truck?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. But you don't recall where she pulled the phone from, correct?
No.
Okay.
I was still in shock.
And you say shock, so you're in shock. Did that compromise what you're looking at or what you're going to perceive it to be?
No, it just made me stare at the victim.
All right, scared for the victim. In what way?
It made, excuse me. It just made me stare at him because I kept saying to myself, I hope she don't shoot him. And when I heard the gunshot, he looked at me and I looked at him and he just had this look on his face. So that's what I was staring at. But I do remember her putting the shirt on.
And ma'am, if you need a moment, if she needs a moment.
Yes.
Do you need some water?
I'm okay.
And I'm sorry to bring these emotions out. You were looking him in the eye, you said?
Yeah, after the gunshot went off, like I said, I couldn't see inside the car, but I just heard the gunshot. He was looking at me, and I looked at him. He just looked shocked. He just looked shocked.
And when you say you were looking at him, was he looking through his windshield?
No, he was looking out the passenger driver's side of the car, but the window wasn't up, it was down.
So he was looking at you through the window?
Yes. Well, the window wasn't up, so just through the door.
So he was looking through the open window?
Yes.
Okay. And you mentioned at one time she reached in there to unlock the door?
Yes, I think that's what she was attempting to do.
Which hand did she use to unlock the door, or to attempt to unlock the door?
The same hand the gun was in.
So she had the gun in her hand to go unlock the door?
She had the gun in her right hand. When she pulled the door from the outside, it went open. And that's when she went inside the car. I can't say what she was doing because I couldn't see behind the panel of the door. But I was assuming she was trying to open the door from the inside, but the gun was in that same hand.
The gun was in the same hand?
Yes.
Okay, but you said that she stepped back and shot the gun from outside the window.
I did not.
Okay. Did you see when the gun went off?
Just heard it.
Okay, so it's fair to say you didn't see where the gun was when the shot went off?
Correct.
Okay. And you stated that there were a lot of people around there. Go ahead. If you need to take a moment to take a sip of water, you can.
Okay.
Okay. So you said there were a lot of people around there calling 911, correct? And you stayed there to talk to the police or call 911, correct?
Yes.
Okay. But at no time did you see the individual that got out of the car to go up and assist. You never saw him again, right?
No.
Okay.
Attorney Tucker, one moment. Let Ms. Rosser have a minute.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Judge steps in and gives the witness a moment. The camera should turn. Just show the defendant, show the courtroom, show something else, but just heads up.
Okay. I'm okay.
You're okay. All right.
She wants to be done. That's what she does.
Now, and I won't harp on this much more, but the individual that pulled up, the white guy that got out to walk up there, you didn't see him after the incident walking up speaking to the police by the name of Erickson?
No, I didn't see him.
Did you see anybody there that when they were speaking with the police that could have possibly been named Erickson?
No, I'm not sure. No.
Okay. But he was with somebody else in that vehicle?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And you were in the car by yourself, correct?
Yes.
And what you perceived to be her reaching in there trying to unlock the door, open the door, you didn't see really if she was grabbing the lock or not, or was she grabbing the handle in the front of the door or the lock at the back?
She was grabbing the handle on the driver's side in the front.
So the handle would be on the front of the door in there?
Yes.
But you said you couldn't see anything further than that because there's a...
Because of the panel of the door.
Panel of the door. Okay. And that is a, I don't know if it's in there or not. Let me approach real quick.
4, 5, 7.
And that written statement right there, is that a true and correct accusation or accurate picture of what you filled out that day?
Yes.
Is that your signature at the bottom?
Yes.
At this time, Your Honor, I would tender Defense Exhibit number 9 into evidence. Into evidence.
Any objection? Admitted without objection.
And one more. So, the individual that walked up there to assist the white guy, did anybody walk behind him and grab him and pull him back to the car, or did he turn around and walk himself?
From what I remember, I believe he turned around and walked himself. I think the gun scared him. He walked away.
So nobody else from that vehicle came out and kind of pulled him back?
Not that I remember.
No further questions.
And redirects from the state.
Interesting that Hannah is supplying questions to the attorney. Things possibly that she remembers.
Okay. May Ms. Rosser be excused at this time? Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Rosser. You may step down.
So that witness is released. She's all done. Bailiff
Does
gathering
the state
evidence.
have another witness that it...
We had to send that witness home based on the technology not working. All of the remaining witnesses that we had,
We need the technology.
depended on the technology that is not functioning.
Okay, so counsels, please approach.
We might have an early day because of technology. I love technology. That witness, I think she did a great job. First of all, she did a great job. It was very traumatic. What she witnessed is something that nobody wants to witness, and that those images are burned in her mind, and she's remembered that and recounting those, and it's very emotional for her. The problem we have is not that she's wrong. It's that we now have two witnesses who are eyewitnesses to the scene, who have placed it in very different positions, who have described the situation, the chronology very differently and very firmly, that they know that it happened the way that it occurred. We have one that says that Hannah pulled in front of him. Both of them say they pulled in front of him, but she pulled in front of him and he stopped and did not strike her car, and they got out and argued. And while they were arguing, then he tried to gun it and hit the car while she was on the side of the car. The other person saying that Hannah pulled out in front of him and that he struck her car. And then she jumped out and started arguing with him, but didn't pull the gun until later. And so we've got very, very different occurrences there. Neither one saw the gun go off. And this one has this witness, Shakonda, Ms. Rosser, was saying that she has this vivid memory of which hand is being used to punch, which one hand is being used to hold the firearm. And so just try to picture this. Picture you're facing a car. You put yourself in Hannah's position right now. You're facing the car. The window's down. There's a driver in there, and you're punching with your right hand, okay? Because the gun is in the left. You're punching with your right hand, and you're hitting the guy in the chest. Where would you have to be to make that work and have those blows land really hard, to be really impactful, to use a lot of force? It seems it would left hand would be natural.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are aware that earlier we had some technical challenges, and so we are going to need the technology for the other witnesses. I'm going to release you for the evening, which is a good news,
early day,
and bring you back tomorrow. I would say 8:30, just
this
so that
is perfect because Dr. Joe Corcoran starts in 4 minutes.
Hopefully by that time we should be able to fix whatever technological challenges we're having in the courtroom. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your attention. And we're adjourned for the evening. Again, and I know you're going to get tired of me saying the same instructions apply. Do not discuss the case with anyone. Do not do any independent research.
I built the portal to Dr. Joe.
You're adjourned for the evening. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep the audio up just in case something happens. The jury's gone. No more testimony is going to happen here. They might do a little bit of business, but we have 3 minutes before Dr. Joe is going to have just an amazing interview, and it's going to be with Greg Anderson. This could not have happened any better for timing wise, because I wanted to participate there. So I built a portal. We're gonna jump over and beam you over to his live stream. As always, when we raid someone, do announce that you're there and you're excited, and give them support. Click the like button, please. When we get there, we'd like everyone who lands on that page to click the like button when they get there. And then just as always, treat him with the respect you would me. So or more, probably more. So that's what we're going to go to in just a minute. Let me just make sure that nothing's going to happen in court right now, because they're still standing. We're just listening here.
Counsels, is there anything further that we need to address this evening before we adjourn?
None for the adjourn.
Okay. All right, so court stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hope everybody will get some rest, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Okay, so there we go. Court's adjourned until 9 a.m. We're going to do a pretty quick. Dr. Joe's ready to start. Well, we have to play some music. We cannot leave our live stream without playing the music and thanking everybody who made today possible, including all of you for being here, just as viewers or contributors that way, as well as to our great mods who had a little bit of work to do. I'm sorry, I sort of added to that workload. Thank you, mods, for the great work you've done. Just a little reminder, if you saw your comments being deleted a lot, just a little moment of introspection. Maybe see if you need to change something a little bit and dial it back a little. That's all. Hope you do come back and join us, and let's continue the conversation that way. To those that aren't going to make the jump tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love. Smile at someone to make their day just a little bit better. And please stay safe till we go live again tomorrow morning, 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning. But right now we're going to portal over to Dr. Joe Corcoran, who has Greg Anderson on an interview. Please stick around for that. It's going to be wonderful. We're gonna bail on this. We can't stay for the whole song. It's going to start here in 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Let's see. Let me clear this one off. Unpinned message. Thank you to the great mods. Wonderful. I think we're good. Ready? Everything's ready. Okay. So I need that. I need this. I need this. All right. Here we go. See you in a little bit, guys.